I went to school for 22 years, and at some point you probably did too. Probably not for that long, but still. As a matter of fact, you may be watching this in school right now.
Now, the story spans 15 years, so I'm going to have to pick it up, and it's going to have to get a little fast and furious. In 1997, I became a high school English teacher at the age of 33. Career change. Some of my students were disappointed. First day of class, a few of my seniors went, "What? We thought we were getting a new teacher." I'm like, "Guys, I'm older and wiser. I know what you need to know. I've been there. I've been a waitress. I've worked for a couple of big companies. I know what it's like to interview, to take tests, to get a job." And I just finished up graduate school, and they told me there, my teaching professors, how hard it was going to be to get you to do well on those state exams, to raise your ACT scores, and to keep your attention and not bore you to tears because you got other things going on.
Growing up, being in Chicago public schools, I always was in classrooms feeling like, I wasn't learning anything.
In the last decade, we've lost 26,000 African American teachers, even though teaching as a profession has been growing.
So I'm prepared, and I was. Actually, I was pretty good at it. I was strategically planning to entertain my students, to be the pilot of the classroom, the captain of entertainment, so they would never be bored when they were studying the 15 uses of the comma and subject-verb agreement.
Through education, you can also better yourselves in other ways. You learn how to learn, how to think critically and find solutions to unexpected challenges. I remember we used to ask our teachers, "Why am I going to need algebra?" Well, you may not have to solve for X to get a good job or to be a good parent, but you will need to think through tough problems. You'll need to think on your feet. You'll need to know how to gather facts and evaluate information. So, math teachers, you can tell your students that the president says they need algebra.
I specialize in teaching algebra to the bottom 25% of high school students, and I work mostly with those students. Now, the best of those students want to do well, but when they realize what they're capable of, they're either stuck in a path of academic mediocrity, or they are so close to graduation they just need a credit to pass. It's almost like a scene of wasted potential. Now, the worst of those students have had no education of character, common decency, appropriate language, appropriate behavior. They barely know right from wrong. These are the students who are at risk of dropping out, incarceration, or abusing social welfare. Now, what's out there waiting for those students? Jobs? College? They're in an education system that says if you don't go to college, you have no worth. So their only alternative is to be underemployed, to find illegal work, or to abuse social welfare. Those students are marginalized by what I call a toxic culture of education. It doesn't matter if a student is a gifted artist, a loving caretaker, talented musician, or poetic writer. Those students are the fish being judged on how they climb trees because we say the end-all, be-all is college, or we're leaving students to the lowest skill level work. Even in the honors classes, these students are so wrapped up about grades and answers, they're afraid to learn. And that's impacting how they're performing at college. But I am not here to talk about the current student loan debt crisis.
And finally, with the right education, both at home and at school, you can learn how to be a better human being. For when you read a great story or you learn about an important moment in history, it helps you imagine what it would be like to walk in somebody else's shoes, to know their struggles. The success of our economy will depend on your skills, but the success of our community will depend on your ability to follow the golden rule, to treat others as you would like to be treated.